Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're not done yet. We still got one more game here at week 1. It is going to be London versus Nvision. This is one we've all been kind of excited for today. I think these are two teams who are heavily stacked and two teams who people are placing to be pretty high up in the rankings of the season, going toe-to-toe on week 1. So real statements are going to be made here.
Yeah, both teams fighting out to keep their perfect record in week 1. And honestly, very impressed with Nvision, but particularly London yesterday. Especially Beely really stepped up. Normally, you don't always associate Beely with being the 1v9 carry, but I'm not quite sure if his score particularly sort of reflected his impact in the game yesterday on that Lucian pick. But really pulling through for London on what was a bit of a wayward draft. So let's see how they handle Nvision today. And of course, the main man for Nvision, Spark.
Yeah, I mean, Spark got a pentakill yesterday.
Yeah.
Voxney as well was really slippery. That last fight that decided the game for London, they just couldn't pin Voxney down. He got away with such little health and then just tidied up the fight. We have headed in there, 2 champ select though, the Camille and the Pantheon both taken away early. See what Nvision decide to ban away next.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see whether Seraphine makes it through again. I think the Lucian ban is a huge show of respect. But also, Lucian is still a strong champion regardless. Yeah. So nice to see it on. And there you go, no Seraphine this time.
She's had her fun today.
She's had a lot of fun today. So won't be seeing that champion in the final game of the day. And we'll have to see what Nvision decide to round out the bans with. And it's going to be PFI not getting his hands on Olaf, whilst London, I mean, a lot of choices still up. No AD carry bans outside the Lucian, so no bot lane AD carry bans.
Yeah.
As Akali could be something that's banned, but I don't necessarily see BB Muffin or even Akazuru as Akali players. So
we could see BB Muffin default back to the Lulu. Kaiser has been left open, so they could just pick that up for Spark and basically do what they did last game and just play purely to get Spark a pentakill. And looks like that is at least the starting of the game plan here as they get the Kaiser in the first rotation. Over to London, the Jin's still open, the Leona is still open, the Alistair is open if they want to deny that combo. We'll see what they decide to do here.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think it's normally better to just try and hold on to the support pick here to try and get a positive matchup when you're dealing with Kaiser. So I don't actually mind the Aphelios Lilia together with each other, but it does mean that if BB Muffin wants to pick up the Orianna, that can definitely be a pretty big spanner in the works for this early rotation of London. And I'm also kind of surprised to have not seen the Renekton early locked in with the Lilia too. Just sort of mixing out the early top side damage profile can be very, very oppressive. So we'll have to see what the choices are. Okay.
I forgot Yuna plays this. I genuinely forgot Yuna plays this. The Kindred pickup's quite nice there.
A very proficient Kindred player, actually. So with the Lulu, which is likely to end up in BB Muffin's hands, but we'll see whether Longstaff decides to take it up with the Kaiser. You've already got this really strong composition, similar to what MNMA had drafted a couple times last split, actually, where you had Kindred to keep the carries alive, as in past that sort of the ultimate, and then you have the one hyper carry plus a Lulu, and occasionally you'd even have Karma stacked on top of it. And it just becomes so oppressive to kill if you can't just immediately blow up any one of those members. And to round out their first phase, London, they're going to take the Scion, which Mappillion had a pretty good performance on last split. So yesterday, beg your pardon. And I see it back.
Honestly, there was just a blue screen in my head as you said that, and I heard nothing. I just reacted. I just sat there like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so Aatrox now removed away from Akaz. I wouldn't be surprised to also just see another top lane ban. Not sure what Nvision are maybe looking for. I actually think in a spot like this, an Ornn ban would actually be really good.
Yeah.
Not that Ornn is necessarily a super broken champion, but he is. But having to play Aphelios and deal with that Ornn engage can really be a bit concerning, especially if this Lulu ends up going to the bottom side and they do something like an Orianna Ornn final rotation. Then Aphelios doesn't really get to play the game. So we'll see if they're thinking on this Ornn ban, but I would expect another top lane ban if it's not Ornn at the very least. And it seems like we're going to get just that in the Gragas. So seems like for now, Nvision, first ban was the Alistar. Could see someone like the Thresh to remove away some safety from the Aphelios. I think that would make a whole bunch of sense.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, let's have a little look at the final ban here for Nvision. Going to be the Leona tonight. So, see what they want to go for here. Are they going to counterpick support, or are they going to look to counterpick another lane? Because remember that Lulu technically is still flexible. Longstaff can play the Enchanter down there.
But I feel like at this point, with Alistar and Leona gone, you kind of just need Thresh at this point. And particularly with the Aphelios, it just gives you so much safety. And it seems like London feel the same way. And now for Nvision, we're going to get to see where this Lulu goes. We've seen BB Muffin play it multiple times, not just yesterday. So very proficient on the champion.
Remember, we also have things like the Galio that could get picked up for BB Muffin.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Galio
low with Kindred. Yeah. You put the Lulu bot lane, slap a Galio in there, and then just give Akkas whatever. Looks like he is just taking whatever. Set pickup, going to get locked in here for him. No, Nautilus, don't worry.
Oh, that's Nautilus.
All right, it's Lulu top, Galio mid.
It's not gonna. The BB Muffin's probably gonna take the Lulu. I would expect this last pick though to maybe even be set. Often when you see hovers go that long, it normally indicates that teams were heavily thinking about the champion when it's actually a meta champion. That is, of course. So we'll have to see. We don't see much Nautilus these days. He's kind of fallen off in the meta since the nerfs to I say nerfs, the changes to Gargoyle Stoneplate.
Yeah.
He's not quite got the same level of efficiency without that item anymore. But of course, still considered a strong matchup into Thresh. As Twisted Fate
still has good synergy with the Kaiser as well.
Yeah, still has brilliant synergy.
But there is the TF to round out here for London. Now, talk to me a little bit about what we think these teams are looking to do. I think for Nvision, it's fairly simple. We've got Engage, we've got safety with the Lamb's Respite and the Lulu to keep Spark alive. They're looking at 5-on-5. London, though, what are their game plans here with this comp?
Yeah, I mean, with London, there's a bit of a mixture of what you could do with this composition. I think looking to try and keep the Nvision draft from being able to group up could definitely be very beneficial, especially with the TF side laning prowess. So that could be something. You can still definitely team fight, though. You have plenty of strong tools inside of this draft. Lilia Sleep, the amount of space that a Scion can buy, and also time he can also buy. And just in general, stun cards, they can sort of start to stack up, but Nvision should be pretty comfortable with any team fight at many stages of the game. So I feel like if you're London here, you're looking to try and create numbers advantages, particularly with this Destiny Gate, and you just try and pick off any stray members of Nvision, because I think trying to take these guys on 5v5 is a bit of a rough task, a bit of a rough ask, but it's certainly doable. So it's really on them, on how they feel. I feel like if you're Nvision, priority, you want to be first to these objectives. You ideally want the fights to be on your terms, as opposed to London starting these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be loading through into our fourth and final game of the day shortly. So getting ready for London versus Nvision. I feel like this is the one where the expectations are high. We've got two teams who are very highly regarded, and there's a lot of expectations for both of these teams. So if they can get a win here early on in the season, really makes a big statement for the team, but it's also a massive mental boost for the team as well to find a win versus another strong team, right?
Yeah, especially, that sort of mental edge of knocking another team off that perfect record, even though we're still in week 1, right? But it's still about, hey, we're going into week 2 having won both of our games. And, the difference between going into that next set of games from, being 0-2, 1-1, and 2-0, it does definitely affect the mentality for some teams. So pressure is definitely there for both these teams to perform. But like you say, expectations definitely raised after yesterday. We saw some very strong performances out of a lot of individuals out of both of these lineups.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had a small pause, unfortunately. A few headset issues. We're looking to get them sorted as soon as possible so we can get into our fourth and final game to round out the first week of UKLC. But how are you feeling, Jamada? You've covered a couple of the shows when me and Orcs weren't able to do them, but this is your first proper stint here with us.
proper debut. Yeah, it's been great. And opening week has been fantastic. Been getting a lot of positive feedback. I do see it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. And I'm having a wonderful time. More than anything, I'm enjoying myself. So
that's the key thing, right?
That's it. I'm enjoying myself.
Genuinely, I said it yesterday, but the UKLC is one of my favorite leagues.
NLC
is great, right? Don't get me wrong. I love being on the NLC. We have a great time. Obviously, the level of play is massively improved compared to this. But I think There's something about the the UKLC, which is just so much fun to watch, where these teams are really scrappy with each other. Last season rounds, it was so close. It was so close. I'm really hoping we get more of that in this split. I hope it is a really competitive season. It's so much fun. I love it.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. As last split particularly, everyone was hyped. Like even like players, staff, like involved. Not just for the viewers and spectators. You get a split like that, and then it's like, okay, next split's got to be wild. And this one, hopefully, it will set itself up to be. I mean, we're already seeing huge shakeups in some of our expectations, right? We're seeing Demise go 0-2 in the first week. We're seeing Bulldog go 2-0 in the first week. We're seeing a Resolve lineup who we expected to basically look entirely unchallenged have a pretty shaky opening yesterday. So, who knows what we're in for as time progresses. I'm certainly excited and hoping we do match those same levels of hype that we got last split, because honestly, even participating in it still felt great.
Yeah. Well, we're taking to the Rift for our fourth and final game. Eighth game of the week, fourth game of the day. London taking on Nvision. It's going to be a real doozy.
Should be a doozy. He is a doozy. As looks like pretty normal line of scrimmage. No level 1 shenanigans. Always fun to keep track of. Get that very standard 2 wards at that top side entrance. And junglers both pathing towards reds. So pathing away from one another. Jungle tracking definitely going to be something to keep our eyes on. We had PFI on the Talia yesterday. Today on another magic damage champion in the Lilia. Champion we've not actually seen him on before in his long history, because Lilia is a very new champion. I think we've seen him on Talia before. Very, very long time ago, but the interesting...
Only yesterday. You said that.
No. Well, I say that I'm pretty sure he plays Lilia, but he played the Talia yesterday.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. Game 4, we're tired. It's all right.
It's already getting to me, and I've got NLC tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? I hope it's tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. I'm pretty sure Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, we've got 3 days.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to my break. But I'm also looking forward
to get back up to NLC, man.
I'm also looking forward though to watching the games. NLC is going to be a blast.
It's really going to be a blast. There's some stacked teams over there. There's XL and Fnatic are looking horrific. Febiven in the mid lane for Fnatic Rising. Oh, yes.
Very scary.
I'm so excited for the return of Febi in EU.
Yeah, very scary looking rosters. I too am excited to see Febi back on the stage. As you can see, London just full priority on this bot side. Aphelios at level 1 can definitely be pretty hard to jostle prio with, and also just thresh into Norless at level 1. Longstaff tried to hit that hook and yielded all of its pressure. So this is the result. They're going to crash the wave right now. Death Sentence, very nice. More damage going to be returned.
Oh, forcing the flash. The ignite is burnt by Jeppe, but wow.
Yeah, nice aggressive ignite there, forcing Longstaff to flash. And he tried to actually hook Hepe to proc the aftershock, but there was another hero minion. We saw one of those yesterday. I think it was actually in the London game, wasn't it? Yeah, caster minion.
I think it was actually.
Funnily enough.
Get behind me, Mr. President minion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check the accounts for some of these minions, man. They gotta be paid off.
Yeah, they're paying them.
Yeah, but
what did you pay a minion in?
Yeah, because they already have gold.
Well, maybe that is their pay. Maybe you're just stealing their pay.
No, surely you would pay minions in something. We've got to get to the bottom of this eventually.
I'm pretty sure lore-wise, minions are actually just animated bits of cloth. They're not actually real beings, so don't worry about killing them.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think they are actually just animated bits of magic cloth, effectively, with weapons or wands in some cases.
Huh. Oh, that's good to know. The more you know.
I mean, otherwise, we're all awful people. Like, I have killed millions of minions over the years.
The countless souls lost.
When's Daddy coming home?
Oh, God, no. Man. London really giving this tower an early beating here, just constantly shoving in these waves. And they know they can because they've got so much vision. You can see on the map, you've got that tri-bush entrance, and then up above the dragon also, you can see there's a ward covering that with the Scuttle Crab, just, you know, just in case. So, very few paths for Yuna to make it down there. And actually, pretty nice invade being able to steal away these second spawn Krugs, or maybe they were the first, as PFI... No, definitely the second spawn. So PFI definitely going to miss those. But Yuna actually invading without priority, but Akka's being able
playing
to...
with fire. He's hanging around to clear the ward.
That's an interesting decision.
He's going to do a lot of damage. Remember, that third stack actually does chunk, gets the flash out, and this could just be first blood. Akka's gets it like it's nothing.
Who's being caught by who, I guess?
Wow.
Yeah, all right. Well, we felt like Yuna was playing with fire, but apparently the man knows his limits. So very, very comfortable in that position. And Merp, I guess, just caught in the crossfire, trying to save his jungler's mental after losing the whole Krug camp. And PFI is just going to be able to clear back down anyway, but definitely doesn't feel nice having one of your bigger XP camps stolen away. As
I'd like to take a quick look actually where Yuna's at stacks wise. I don't know if Crab
I don't think
was
he
in
would
his
have.
favor. There we are.
No.
None. Okay, cool. So the Crab RNG did not work out for him there. We'll see whether or not he can get it. Obviously, with the Kindred, one of the things we do look out for is kind of the 4 mark spike. That's where you get the additional range as well. So that's the big one.
Yeah, 4 is that very nice range increase. And then you actually feel like you can play the game.
Oh, nice early dragon. Considering how bad that top lane play went. Actually, really nice early dragon into the cleanse. PFI though looking for a bowling ball. Yuna's actually going to get spotted out. He jumps over the wall but gets followed up by PFI. They look to lock him down. Spark is just running to the wind. Has the flash, but the wild cards will take him down. And it's 2 kills for London already. Longstaff will be pulled in by the Graviton. And Jeppe whips for the kill. 3-0 in favor of London.
Yeah, unfortunate for them Voxnate to not pick up any kill credits then. Billy was even holding his gold card to say, hey, you know what, then take the kill. You're Aphelios. But not quite able to do it. And it all just starts because there's been so much pressure coming out of this bot lane. You see a very nice death sentence to blow the cleanse. And they've always had priority on this side of the map. Yuna's just here after Dragons died with TF in fog and missing. And it's just a very nice play overall. There's not really much to break down. It's just numbers advantage. Very strong rotation from London. Very unfortunate on the back end there that Killers and donated it over to then Voxnay as, I think, first mark. Yeah, there you go. He's rolling.
Well, for now, Akka's is just holding the wave here. Going to get a nice bully onto Mapillion. There's a lot of damage with those Qs and obviously the passive stack. Got a Vamp Scepter as well, so can actually take those and not really worry about the minion damage because you can just sustain back up.
Yeah, what's kind of nice about set is that his autos are so meaty, so the lifesteal does it feel at least it looks like it just always gives him more than most champions get out of Vamp Scepter. And not only that, of course, the innate passive healing that he gets back once he's a little bit low. You know, Sion can't really keep up with the sustain that his champion has. He's going to eat another. Pretty, well, wasn't the worst trade in the world, but certainly could have been.
Mapillion was able to distance enough there for it not to be horrendous.
Yeah. But certainly the ultimate taking the max HP damage off of Sion is also something to be kind of concerned about. And actually something to keep our eyes on, how Mapillion sort of positions, because I think a lot of tank players forget that they kind of become a piggyback through that step.
Oh, the flash, the play, the hook gets dodged out. Longstaff actually does jump in onto Den. Then Voxnay does throw out a Moonlight Vigil for a little bit of a trade. And actually in the tail end, London really bit off a little bit too much there. Yuna will answer out on the other side of the map now, picking up a Rift Herald. PFI's not even on the right side of the map. He's just going to be contesting a invade bot side. Does mean that the bot lane for Nvision do need to be a little bit careful.
Yeah.
So they don't have a jungler down there.
Yeah, no jungle. And thought process there was then Voxnay's level 6. No level 6 from the side of Spark or Longstaff, so they just wanted to try and get some kind of advantage out of that level lead. But you can see now Spark's now hit level 6, so he's going to have that Killer Instinct up and available. Should be pretty fine. This could turn into a dive. Beely's actually free to move down here, and he's walking into Fog, so yeah, there you go.
They're bringing in the Destiny. Spark's already low, but Jeffe's going to lose his life. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Big ultimate from Longstaff, locking everybody down as the tower shots will be enough to make it an equal trade. 2 versus 4 Nvision. They can be pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, a little bit messy. I mean, the net gold should still end up being in Voxnay's favor because he's got so much free time on this bottom side, but the gold is going to be traded back. Unit on the top side here.
They have the ultimate. Akers gets a shield up, and that is just a juicy kill.
Yeah. Very nice.
Will die to Yuna. There's a lot of damage to him, though, to be fair.
Yeah, let's not take too much damage. But yeah, I mean, this is just sort of a split map-esque scenario where you can see Den Voxnay on the bottom side. Is he going to get first tower? I can see the towers on one plate.
I don't think he is because the bot lane got there in time. So this should just be first turret, or this will be first turret blood to Nvision top side. Does Akers escort the wave forward for a quick clear? And second scrab is going to spawn up for Yuna, so it's another mark for him. I don't know if he's had... Okay, this will be a second mark.
Yeah. And, I mean, this sort of sequence of events could have felt pretty good for these... Wow, they do not like Nvision bot lane, do they?
Oh, this is so... They saw what Spark did yesterday with resources, and they're just not letting that happen.
Yeah.
Will be a turret trade out there. Akers has no teleport, Mapillion does, so it's not even worth contesting. Nvision are just going to have to take the L.
Yeah, that's a very nice play. Very nice rotations. Very nice usage of lane priority consistently. And I mean, he's definitely given up some waves, right? You can see there's a mid lane wave crashing at the moment. He's going to have TP to get back to it, but you can see he's suffering in the CS, right? But he's suffering so that his team can effectively succeed. And I'm happy we get a replay of this tower dive because it's actually pretty botched from London. This Pepe just saying, all right, I don't mind giving my life over, but PFI ends up taking the charged up tower damage because it's been autoing for so long, and he effectively takes like two tower shots, I think, or maybe 3 at a stretch, plus the ignite tick, and it's enough to kill him. So, you know, had London taken that tower dive 1 for 2, which I think was probably what the intention was, they probably would have walked away happy, but losing PFI on the back end kind of makes it closer to even when you consider the trade on the top side. That's
the alternator.
Is that illegal? That's a lot of damage. Then Voxnay is...
And Voxnay wins that trade pretty wholehandedly. Yeah. Yuna was about, and there was a wild growth, but even so. Yeah, it's a scary Aphelios. Got the Gale Force.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those things. You see your AD carry sort of dash forward, you just immediately... You just like, whoa, hold on, stop. But thank you, Observer, for the gold. You can see Aphelios rightfully so up almost 2,000 gold. You can see the very clear game plan from London. Honestly, the execution has been pretty immaculate for the most part, bar dropping PFI on that tower dive. Could maybe argue for some refinements here and there in terms of losing what they lost on the top side, but it's more or less Nvision responding appropriately to what's happening to their bot side and saying, all right, if we're not going to have
Yuna.
Spark.
Yuna.
Yeah,
that's a lot of CC. That's a sleepy Yuna. Land Respite not even going to be necessary.
They're going to go.
Destiny as well. BB Muffin's coming in, but BB Muffin can't do anything. We'll watch Longstaff die. Oh, that's a shutdown for PFI. This is just looking clinical from London right now. Spark is just trying to stay bot lane and farm as much as possible.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was alluding to yesterday, and I think probably at the start of the show too, where, you know, Nvision, at least since summer, have kind of been a pretty one-facet team, right? They only play one kind of way. Last split, it was Alex. Akers is probably dead.
He's got the shields. He's got the backup. Actually goes for the slam back. Jeppe getting caught out here. Uses the stopwatch, but BB comes forward with a glitter lance for the slow. And looks like they might just gift the kill to Yuna. Get a kill onto that Kindred.
Yeah, very generous. But yeah, I mean, that was just Pepe kind of overextended. It seems like London were in a bit of a position where they're in two minds, where then Voxnay and PFI want to take the tower and just funnel the last couple of plates onto the Aphelios, whereas, you know, dive kind of looked potentially fruitful and, well, Set's a hard champion to put down sometimes.
Double Kraken Slayer picked up here for Nvision. Yuna and Sparker picked that up. Does mean Mapillion will get melted through. And also potential Baron as well is pretty scary. They do a lot of damage, these two.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised I didn't see double Gale Force here. I'll be kind of honest with you. It's not necessarily a bad thing to go Kraken Slayer. It's just state of the item. Plus, you know, there's a lot of very useful abilities to be further away from with the Gale Force. I like Hepe, the Mind Games. But going back to the point of, you know, Nvision, last split, it was Alex. That was the carry. They facilitated him. BB Muffin played this very similar style, similar to what you're seeing today. And that was kind of the game plan in most scenarios, right? You kind of let Alex do his thing, and Spark would eventually come online, but they never really proactively put resources into him. Yesterday, that was the case.
Lord.
Wow. That's the power of Blade of the Ruin King set.
Oh, they're just going all in down here, bot line. Big ulti comes out. Longstaff's ignited. Is going to survive that, though. But, man, this bot lane is just getting bullied anywhere they go. Yeah. Maybe looking for a quick dive onto Mapillion. Yuna does have the ultimate, and Akka's almost got the showstopper back up. Turret will fall in the top side, so it's onto Nvision to make the play. The charge is interrupted, and that is the end of Akka's. Sorry, Mapillion, as Akka's is going to be able to survive that one.
Very similar top laners, actually. You'd be surprised. But, yeah, I mean, a little bit illegal from Mapillion. I've got to kind of say he very easily could have just backed off from the tower. It's not the end of the world to lose a couple of waves in that scenario. You know, the positive, I guess, is that because they go for the dive, as opposed to him giving up the wave, they don't get the tower. Then Voxnay, though, is getting this tower. Mid-tier 1 going to drop. And yeah.
And then Voxnay is a real problem right now.
Yeah,
if you're on the side of Nvision, you're super worried about Den Voxnay. 202, he's been involved in every tower take. He got a lot of solo plates bot lane earlier on in the game.
Yeah, can we?
He's had so much resources put into him. If we could quickly toggle to the gold, you can see the difference between him and Spark right now. It is colossal. But we have to hold that as Akka's is actually jumping forward, gets caught out by the seed.
Now, this is where things could get a bit, you know, unfortunate for London, because these 5v5s aren't necessarily in their favor, but they're so far ahead, it might not matter. We'll have to see how Nvision play it. London on the dragon.
Mapillion caught out already. They're actually just looking to come in. Yuna's onto the back. There's the slam into the back line. Mapillion loses his life. Dragon resets. Is going to get taken down by Yuna. He has the ulti. The Lamb's Respite keeps them all alive. Mapillion will lose his life. Longstaff blocking out on the front. Everybody's healed up. Akka's standing in there. Sparks looking for Den Voxnay. Den Voxnay still pretty strong. Getting polymorphed onto the back line. But now Nvision, they're caught inside the pit. The health bars on both teams are just exceptionally low as Den Voxnay throws out the Moonlight Vigil. Caught out by the hook. Spark is firing away. He's looking for the shutdown. The shutdown's picked up by Longstaff. Beely loses life, and now Spark is looking for Jeppe. Jeppe is polymorphed. Jeppe has nowhere to go, and Nvision find themselves the team fight, find themselves the ace.
It's still AD carry versus AD carry. I've got to get a replay of that there. Both of those two carries playing pretty much just on the edge, and I've got to give credit to Spark. He's really not that fed. I have to see how he pilots this one. So it's London that are initially on this dragon. And I said, you know, Nvision can win these teamfights 5v5. London don't have the best 5v5 comp. And Mapillion kind of puts himself in a position to get slammed into most of the backline. The dragon unfortunately resets, and it means PFI misses the smite crucially. And the Lamb's Respite just buys so much time. And then Voxnay walks up too far, gets ulted by the Nautilus, and has to flash. But you can see he's got the kill everything guns. He's got red-white guns, and he's able to just kind of tear through some health balls. But at the same time, Spark's been able to get off plenty of auto attacks because BB Muffin has been able to buff him up continually. He's had Longstaff to kind of just guide him through everything.
That's the interesting thing, actually, because there is a gold lead between Den Voxnay and Spark, but also the money that is sitting in BB Muffin's pocket is effectively in Spark's pocket as well.
Yeah.
Giving him all that extra shielding. So yeah,
it's a nice way to look at it.
6,000 gold that BB Muffin has is kind of in the inventory of Spark with the items he's got and how much kind of utility he supplies him.
Yeah, that's a nice way of looking at it. Yeah, you can definitely say a lot of this Moonstone And Flowing Staff of Water value is certainly bringing Spark's overall gold value, you know, a little bit closer to where Denvoxnae's is. But Denvoxnae, very powerful. I'm pretty sure he's finished up 2 items. I can see the Runan's Bolt and the BF Sword. So he's really, really ahead of the curve nonetheless. And yeah, I mean, big for Nvision to pick up that dragon because, you know, 1 dragon away from Soul, it really makes you feel like you're on a timer. And I mean, honestly, London in that fight, they kind of buy into what Nvision want to do. They accept the challenge of the 5v5. They say, you know what, we think Denvoxnae is strong enough to take the fight. And, well, you know, he's strong, but if your frontliner just kind of dies and then all of a sudden you don't have much of a frontline, you know, Nvision can just win out on a fight like that. And saw it there. Already 2 minutes away from the next dragon, by the way. Jeez, that was a very fast 3 minutes.
Yeah. It's time is kind of flying by in this game. This is the little respite where we all get to kind of farm up. Spark really wanting to have a collector in time for that. Turret will go down, so that's a bit of gold injected into the team. And the gold lead is actually very close between these teams. There's a massive gap between the AD carries, but there is still gold. Yuna's been able to get 4 kills for himself, and Beely, the gold card as the blast code is used, and it's going to be Yuna getting away to safety.
Yeah. Safety. Don't need much else there, and I want to see London try and approach this next fight a little differently. Oh, there's a bit of a skirmish on the bomb side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Akers and Marpillion throwing around their weight a little. It's top laners, man. Honestly, it's always an ego battle with these guys. But, yeah, I would like to see London approach this next fight a little differently. See if they can try and find a straggler who's kind of just slow to a rotation with this Destiny Gate, or try and catch a key member with this Lilia Sleep. Because honestly, I don't think they can take these fights front to back. I think the composition's just not made for it, in all honesty. And sure, Denvoxnae is very powerful, but he's kind of most of this damage. You can see Beely's gone a very utility-based build where he's just going to chuck out gold cards at max range, and PFI, you know, damage-wise, he's not going to change much in this game anymore. He's more or less just going to scale linearly with the state of the game. So, oh, Yuna, really aggressive.
Yeah, he's actually going to go in. The hook gets flashed away. Knock up onto 1, into the gold card, into the wild cards. Won't get thrown out there, but it is Longstaff to shield and chunk that up for the moment. As the hook actually does land onto BB. They do follow that up with the gold card as well. Knocking him down momentarily. Akers is going to Mapillion gets pulled back. The hook goes wide, and this would just be the end of Mapillion. Big knock up into the hook from Longstaff, and now he has the wild growth on him. Mapillion's running amok with the backline, but it's not going to be enough. In goes a big ultimate from Denvoxnae, and Akers on that flank still has that showstopper. Gold card will interrupt him as he's trying to move in forward. Dragon's getting fired away at here by Nvision, and it should just be secured. PFI steals it away though, and he's able to go golden for the moment. Will die as the slam comes in. Akers is just going to get pulled back. Big shield off. And Denvoxnae and Beely, only one standing. A fantastic hook, and Spark is now looking to tidy up. Beely flashes away to safety. And it is a 4 for 1. 4 for none. And a dragon.
Yeah, all right, the bright side is, I know I sound kind of disappointed, but the bright side is London did get the dragon, so they're 1 away from Seoul. And that can definitely turn the tides of this game, unless Nvision actually finish this Baron, which they might be able to, because Lilia's a whiles away. We're going to see Destiny Gate to close up that
Remember, these
distance.
two are very quick as well. The Kindred, look how fast it dies to these two.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. And that's just going to be a pretty free pickup unless London can find something, but the answer is looking like a resounding no. Unless Marpillion wants to try and drift through the... Oh, look at the Infernal Rift. That's wide open.
They actually have the space to work with. Sparks doing a lot of damage to Peely. Oh, no. I think they're calling it off now.
Yeah. All right. No, Spark, we hear you loud and clear. See you later. Yeah, apologies for that. We didn't mean it. My lunch money will be in your account in the next couple of hours. Very nice death sentence here onto BB Muffin. And actually the Flay pulls BB Muffin out of that Scion armor, but it leaves Merpillion again out of position. It's not the first time that has happened this game. And again, with Merpillion effectively dying in the opening acts of this game, of the fight, there's no front line for London to work around. This very nice ultimate from Den Voxnay, the Infernum doing a lot of work, but from this point on, I'm surprised Longstaff and Co aren't standing a little further forward to deny PFI this opportunity to steal the dragon. And steal it he does, given the room to do so. He does pay for it, and then the showstopper over the wall. Very nice to secure epic. And look at Den Voxnay, he just about Gale Forces a little bit too slow. And the hook actually ends up landing onto him. And honestly, if he makes it out on PFI, oh, another Infernal Rift moment, the Blast Cone, bringing him to safety. But if he's able to survive and actually Gale Force away from that hook of Longstaff, honestly, they're funneling into him whilst he's got the Infernum weapon out, the Flamethrower. Could have actually been a little bit devastating depending on how long he could have kited out, but hook is aimed well and true, and
I'm loving Yuna, by the way, right now. Yuna is just hovering in fog of war between the two lanes that are currently getting pushed, making sure he's always there if needs be. Akers, there's a lot of damage put onto him. You got that Leandri's burn, plus just the passive burn that PFI has.
Ooh.
Hook from Jeppe is going to land to Longstaff, really the target he's wanting to hit. Although there is a cleanse on Spark, so pretty hard to actually lock him down. With the Collector and the Kraken Slayer, double daggers, Spark closing in on upgrading that supercharge. They're just keeping the pressure up with this Baron.
Yeah, London.
Destiny's going to get used, and it looks like Akers is going to be on the receiving end of a lot of attention here. Just to the slam back, and Merpillion is going to be able to make his way out of that one as Beely secures the kill.
Yeah, and Akers just a little bit too far up, not respecting truly the Destiny gate. And the fact that, I mean, honestly, London were actually covering bot lane more than they were covering mid. So, just too far forward. Give him the legal death, and it's going to stifle the potential push of Nvision here. And all things considered, I think that's just going to be about the duration of the Baron buff.
To be fair, they got a lot with it. Got a couple of towers, able to kind of siege in a little bit more. And I think the main thing is it's just bought time for Spark. He was so far down on Den Voxnay. He's still down in CS, but
pretty much even.
Now that he's got this Collector as well, some of those kills actually will give him a little bit of additional gold. He's only 2,000 gold down now. It was getting close towards that 3,000 mark a little while ago. And he's still behind. We can't really beat around the bush on that front, but the free items are now finished up onto Spark, and these are kind of the big three. After this, everything else is just a nice improvement on that.
Yeah,
as Dragon spawning up, and remember, Nvision need this. This is so for London if they get it. A lot getting used by Merpillion, and he has to flash over the wall to safety. Chunked out pretty heavily. There's another hook does connect. This one's onto BB Muffin.
Wow, look at Den Voxnay's damage there.
That is pretty dirty.
He's got some pretty scary guns too. I think he's going to cycle onto Flamethrower if he empties out his sniper rifle. Yeah, so Spark is going to have to do a lot of work to match any kind of DPS Den Voxnay might put out in this fight, because it's going to be monstrous. Gravity gun too. This is a really scary fight for Nvision to approach.
Yeah, really scary. Swirling Seed does go past, and London start up the Dragon. Merpillion on that front line. There's the hook. Akers already chunked. Has to use the Haymaker. Longstaff gets Wild Growth, and that means Spark doesn't have it to play with. He jumps in onto the backline, assassinates Den Voxnay. Now Beely's next target for him. He has to flash away, and Merpillion is trying to 1v1 Spark. It's a double kill for Yuna. Meanwhile, Merpillion finally goes down. This is the Dragon. This is the teleport. Beely is cut off, and he's going to have Destiny to safety. Is able to get away narrowly. He would have died to that Q. The Collector would have collected. And this could just be the base here.
The game, Jake. They've got the minion wave. It's just Beely alive. I don't know if he can clear this big of a wave. It's going to be 2 cannon minions very soon. And I mean, honestly, Nvision could just commit to ending. I mean, death timers are really close. They might try and flip it.
This is going to be a very risky one already. The poly's onto Beely. Jeppe standing on that front, trying to play interrupt. Den Voxnay fires away. A great Lamb's Rest play. Gets caught out by the Infernum ultimate, but the heal comes down. Nvision looking to close it. They don't get it. The bees go up. It was so close.
How much HP? Observers, give us the number.
219.
219. Wow. Wow. I mean, Nvision That's a heartbreaker. If they don't end up closing out this game, that's a real keep you up at night kind of moment. But I mean, and London hold for now, and it's really kind of been a battle of AD carries in this game. Rightfully so. I mean, Nvision have, again, they've drafted around having Spark have a successful game. Of course, as well, able to be propped up in a draft like this, and London starting up the Baron. Nvision are pretty far out. Then Voxnay doesn't have like the best Baron taking gun in the world, but I think this should just be it. There might be a fight on the back end though.
Yeah, they're looking to at least strip the Baron off them afterwards. Spotted out, everybody is collapsing in, and there is the hook. It's going to go a little bit wide. PFI has to use the stopwatch. Then Voxnay caught out by the depth charge, but he is miles away. Unit will lose his life. Sorry, PFI will lose his life as BB Muffin is the one to collect in on the kill. The pings are going down. This is a 4 versus 5. They do have Baron, but they don't need the minions. Nvision can just look to try and end this here. They're going to barrel through this mid lane.
Yeah, the Baron up minions are going to help a little bit, but it's not going to be a whole bunch. 4v5, then Voxnay's still alive. Keep our eyes on him.
There's the slam, jumping in forwards. You can see everybody trying to fire off on the back. Yuna looking for Jeppe. Spark firing away onto Mapillion. Good hook there. Does connect, and that Spark just taking the go button.
Yeah,
doesn't even matter. Akka's just beeline to the base to end it. 30 minutes on the clock. Nvision get their second win of the week 1 UKLC.
Yeah, Akka's just, he'd had enough of it. He'd seen enough. He wanted out, and yeah, I mean, honestly, well played by Nvision. It was a very rough early game for Spark, but still managed to pull through. And yeah, you got to feel a little bit for then Voxnay. He had all of those resources poured into him just to not really have it be enough. He had a lot of impact in these fights, but the team composition from Nvision just had too much utility. The Lambs Respite stopped them all from being executed at that final dragon fight where there was a huge Infernum that went down. And that's just kind of the way this Nvision draft was always going to line up. They were always going to be stronger at these team fights, and London were never really able to pick off somebody before those big neutrals started up. And you could see they just fundamentally had the weaker team comp in those team fights. And I have to ask some questions too of Mapillion in multiple fights, either getting chunked out heavily or just outright dying so that London never had a front line to really work with. Not really the best performance in the world out of him. And you may even think if he was actually there to soak up damage that was meaningful, could London have pulled through on some of these really impactful team fights? It
shows us that I think in our kind of stronger teams in the league, they are very close. That game could have gone either way, to be completely fair. We do actually have you ready to talk through your favorite play of today's game.
Yeah, I am looking at... I have to get the drawing board actually up and ready. Apologies, everybody. But yeah, here we are. I believe this is the third dragon, and we've got London in position, and it's kind of what we were talking about. I'll get the clip playing. There we go. Okay, had a bit of a brief freeze, but Mapillion's just kind of up far and forward, and he kind of just gives Akka's a free ultimate in, and he just gets hooked up, and you can just see he just dies. He doesn't really provide anything. And from this point on, we've also got Beely up and kind of separated from the team up here. Oh, this is a much thicker line than I was using before. He up here, pretty much separated from the team. Now, it does mean that he can technically walk in like so and provide some kind of zone control, but he's away from his team, which is all the way down here. He's still separated. He wants to throw cards from the front, realistically, to stop the likes of Akka's kind of walking forward here. And it kind of frees up Nvision to execute the dragon. Very unfortunate. Very small thing there. Wasn't able to pause it in time. The dragon started to reset, and PFI blew his smite just as it started to reset. So it's actually what gives the dragon over to the Akkas. And this is just a very nice Lamb's Respite to keep everybody alive. And as the fight goes on, Spark finds his man, finds his counterpart in Den Voxnay. Isn't quite able to assassinate him, but it doesn't really matter. The pressure's still there. But then Voxnay getting hooked up. It's the important thing there. Longstaff, the man, the myth, the hero of that fight, finding that dredge line. And it's not the first time that he found really important dredge lines onto then Voxnay either. See, Spark just cleans up the rest of the fight. And
I think I would actually say Longstaff in a way was the MVP of that game.
Unsung hero. I'm not sure if I'd go as far as saying MVP.
Yeah, okay. But his hooks were amazing. He landed a lot of important hooks onto like the key people. And I think half of Denvoxy's issue was he just wasn't able to play because this Nautilus would just lock him down. And Sparkwood's like, his support was CCing, and then his other support was just making sure he was actually able to do damage. So for Spark, he was very much enabled that game, considering how far behind he was. I do want to give big props though to London just for how well they executed like the early game on actually shutting Spark down. Unfortunately, it did unravel, but they did a really good job of holding that.
Yeah, that gives me borderline flashbacks if you remember that game from NLC4 where I can't remember if it was Jack Spectra. I think it was Jack Spectra on like Ezreal or Ashe, who literally had components for his Manamune, and Ashe had like 2.5 items because they just kept on tower diving him. He couldn't play the game. That was effectively what Spark got. He got the Jack Spectra dream.
He really did. I mean, you kind of expect that. You get a pentakill on day one, expect to probably get quite a lot of attention on day two, especially when both these teams knew that each other were, one of the stronger teams in the league. So it makes sense that they did try to shut him down. Unfortunately, top side crumbled pretty hard. Mapillion just fell apart. He got, I think it was like the 3rd or 2nd dragon was when he actually finished up his mythic item. That's how far behind he was.
Not a strong performance from everybody's favorite resident top laner Mapillion. You have bad games sometimes. Hopefully for next week, if he is on some of these frontliners, he does work on the positioning aspect and just trying to sort of play bodyguard for core members, because honestly, some of the ways that he got chunked out, died in these team fights, genuinely impactful and genuinely changed the outcome of a lot of these fights, because you need a big meat shield like Sion when you're playing Aphelios to stand in front of you and hold like some of these really key abilities like that dredge line to stop you from getting sort of hooked up and CC'd, because
I think another thing to kind of note is as well, the double Kraken Slayer really would cut through Mapillion. He was already behind, and sure, he had a fair amount of health, but when you got a Kindred and a Kai'Sa, 2 champions he will just rip through a tank. With a Kraken Slayer, like, Mapillion was unfortunately just paper. Like, he'd just get ripped through every time. And overall, just really, really good stuff there. But we do have Longstaff standing by for an interview. Longstaff, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Hey, guys. Yeah, doing really good. How are you?
Yeah, I bet you feel good after that win, because it was pretty dicey down in the beginning of that game.
Yeah, no, I really misplayed at the start of the game. I got hooked level 2 and had to burn flash, almost died, which kind of like cost us the lane. So I'm happy that I managed to keep my mental and like keep playing and not run it down for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you landed some pretty crucial hooks in some of those team fights.
Yeah.
Poor Denvoxy, you were cyberbullying him, mate. You wouldn't let him move.
I felt bad. He was behind some walls sometimes, so I managed to curve the hook around, but like, it worked out in the end.
Yeah, and I just want to ask, of course, I know you come from the university leagues. You also spent some time playing, I believe, with Godonica and Efan. Both now, unfortunately, taking a split out, I think, to finish up their uni courses. But maybe even just outright tied. Of course, Efan, champion, technically, on the team you're on right now. And Godonica also had a pretty decent performance throughout the split. He had a few shockers, but more or less a very positive split for himself. How do you...
Godonica, I know.
That's the Godonica, How does it feel, sort of coming from the university leagues into the UKLC as well, especially having some of your friends on the same team come through in the previous split?
Yeah, I mean, it was really nerve-wracking at the start, especially since I was kind of the only... I say rookie, like I played the university splits, but apart from that, I had never really played comp, so I was the only rookie on the team. So I felt like there's a lot of pressure for me, at least personally, to perform, and I feel like I've had some misplays, but in general, I've been quite happy with how I've been playing, so it's quite good, yeah.
Awesome. I mean, 2-0 start. I'm right. Yeah, 2-0 start. 2-0. For a minute, I was like, "Wait, am I wrong here?" Got to feel pretty good coming into that to kind of start the season off.
Yeah, that was great.
I don't know who you're playing next week, so I apologize on that. But what teams are you kind of looking forward to playing? Maybe slightly envious, like not envious. It's not the right word, but slightly nervous about. But are there any teams that you're really excited to kind of test your strength against?
Well, I mean, I thought London looked really good yesterday, so I thought today was going to be a really interesting match, and it was really, really close. They had us in the first half. Yeah, like I think kind of similar to what Yuna said yesterday. Like we're just trying to take it one team at a time, one game at a time. So the team we're focusing on is just whoever we're playing next.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's a good mentality towards it. It's not really overthink another team too much and just, you know, go in every game, take it one day at a time, one step at a time. Well, congratulations. It was a great start. 2-0 to kick off the UKLC. I bet you're feeling well happy with that one.
Yeah,
thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we get to chat to you again soon. See you later.
All right, great. Thank you. See you in a bit.
See you, dude.
Oh, what a day, Jamada. What a day we've had. What a week, actually. Week. It's been 2 days, but what a 2 days we've had, mate.
Very strong performance out of a lot of teams so far, week one. Definitely set some very high expectations in terms of hype for what we can be looking forward to as we get into some replays from the day as the first
Thomas go.
Yeah, poor Thomas go, man.
I felt really sorry for him this game.
Yeah, there's not much he can do in the early game. When I think
Chickman had a really, really good laning.
Yeah, I think whilst we say, poor Thomas go, really well played from Shicklin on multiple occasions. I think this might be he doesn't even die here.
This is when they killed King. King thought he turned it, and then Hachi just comes in and goes, my knock-up does a lot of damage, by the way.
Yeah, this is another person to keep our eyes on, actually, Hachi, as the split progresses. And yeah, all in all, Bulldog looking like they could be a pretty decent mid to high end team potentially. We have to wait and see sort of when they start to play some of the higher end teams like Resolve. Like we're looking at Eminem to potentially be one of those higher end teams too, as we get some of those clips. And yeah, nice shockwave by Pillar, but you see, okay, he does take a step forward. All right, I thought he didn't, but we see the praise seeker from Harry. Harry says, no, give me my lunch money.
Today to me really showed me why we've seen Seraphine so highly prioritized in the ban phase, because the champion is so impactful. We saw it support, we saw it mid.
It's just
it's the range on the ulti. And in these kind of lined up fights in Baron pits or dragon areas along the river, if you are lined up, a Seraphine ultimate is so impactful. It just shuts down the team for so much time, and it buys the rest of the enemy team to the ability to reposition and find their burst.
Yeah, and just so much utility. It's just like the fact that ultimate exists with so much utility, I think is what makes Seraphine so oppressive, and it's so hard to dodge on the opposite side. Like, yes, sure, you can flash it, but I mean, the hitbox is quite wide. And speaking of years, here's some for you.
I love the sad bees. You know what? Did we not have the pentakill in our replay package there? How did we not have the pentakill? We had.
I mean, it was kind of a throwaway,
Yeah, I know. We had, but come on, we had two semi close endings on the Nexus today.
Yeah, and I've just got to ask. I've got one small request from teams. Be like London, bind some emotes, give us some character, man. I want to see some more, angry bees, sad bees, happy bees.
What is your favorite emote?
It's angry bee. Angry bee is my favorite. Yeah, angry. I've got angry bee bound to every emote, so I can only angry bee.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, let's have a little look at the standings and see how everything has shaped out after the end of this week. Nvision, Resolve, and Bulldog all lead the pack with 2-0. London and M&M Academy do have 1-1. And unfortunately, at the bottom, Barrage Academy, Demise, and Enclave all 0-2, yet to find a win. So for next week, it's really on them to make sure that they can find a bounce back and, get themselves in the running. Because if you start to fall behind in week 2, and some of these other teams start to pull even further ahead, it's going to feel like a Herculean task trying to climb back up.
Definitely. And, I still have a little bit of hope for Enclave. They definitely had a slightly harder week than most teams this week. So I feel like the 0-2 score, whilst obviously poor, it might not be truly representative of what they're capable of in this league. Demise and Barrage Academy, though, some concerning gameplay going on in the opening week. Hopefully they have that cleaned up for week 2, because they do have very strong individuals on those rosters. It's not like those games were unwinnable from the offset. So, hopefully we can see some upped gameplay from them, because certainly you could make some arguments. More for Demise, really. They might not have had to have ended up 0-2 this week. Barrage, it looked like a more of an approach issue where they weren't fully confident in executing how their comps had to work. So, still early doors for the league, naturally, it being week 1.
Yeah,
looking forward to week 2, really.
I mean, it's been a fantastic return. Glad to shake the rust off and get back into the grind, really, with UKLC. It's been really fun to be here. Unfortunately, that does do it for us here, though, at the UK League Championship. Now, there is still more UK League to go tomorrow, and for the next 3 days coming up, we do have the NLC, which is our main league. Join the likes of Fnatic, XL, the M&M Main Academy, all of the goodies, and a bunch of teams from the Nordics as well. But, we'll be joining on the NLC LOL Twitch channel. Unfortunately, we won't be on BBC for that one. So if you want to join us, make sure you head over to twitch.tv/NLC LOL, and we'll be rounding out and moving in to our main league tomorrow. I believe it starts at the same time. Someone else is going to have to remind me on that one. I'm pretty sure it's still 6 UK time.
Pretty sure it's 6. I don't think it's 5. I'm pretty confident it's 6 p.m. start, but
yeah,
who am I to know? I'm pretty sure.
But if you're busy, I don't know why you're busy, what you're doing, and you just have time for UKLC. We'll be back same time on Sunday and Monday for week 2 of the UKLC. From myself, Hiprain, and my co-caster Jamada, thank you very much for joining us here for the first week of UKLC. We will see you next Sunday for more League of Legends action. See you later.
What's that?